Today the Tarp system stopped working on this standard truck, so I want to go through some troubleshooting steps and hopefully we can find the problem. So this truck is almost brand new, so a little disappointing that the Tarp systems are not working. Battery connections all look good. That's always the first place you want to start. Check and see if there's any corrosion, see if any of the cables happen to be loose, but everything here looks tight and clean. This fuse here is feeding both the dump body on the Tarp system. So power needs to go in and power needs to come out, which is what I have. Then it comes over here to the circuit breaker. It's still showing power there, and that's for your dump body, but yeah, power is going out there. Then power is going into this auto resetting circuit breaker up here, and then comes out of the resetting circuit breaker. Should be, but I don't have any power coming out. So today it looks like this circuit breaker is not working. Alright, so we're going to go a little bit deeper into diagnosing this problem. Although the circuit breaker is not working, right now I've got it bypassed. I've got just a wire looping from one post to the other post, and now that's giving me power to these two posts here, and this post here. Sorry for the bad camera work here. This post here is incoming power. That's your ground back to the battery. And so now I've got power coming into the reversing solenoid. Now I'm going to go and test the switch. Alright, this is the switch here. And so first thing I want to do is check that power is coming into the switch from this green wire. And so I've got the positive probe touching here and the negative probe to the battery, and I do have power there. Then I want to try and see if power is coming out of the switch, and so put the red probe on one of the legs, exercise the switch. This might not be intuitive, but I was getting power through this leg when pressing the switch in this direction. And then likewise check power on this leg of the switch by pressing the switch in the opposite direction. So appears the wiring going to the switch is good, and the switch is good, and now we're going to check the wiring going out of the switch up to the reversing solenoid. Okay, next thing I want to do is just make sure that I have power coming from the switch back up to the reversing solenoid. That makes sure all the connections are good, there's not a break in the wire somewhere. So again, this second post is your ground, and just take your positive lead and touch the terminal there, and then actuate the switch and make sure you get over 12 volts coming back up to the reversing solenoid, and then check the other wire doing the same procedure, and again you should get 12 volts. So I did that, and I know that power is coming from the switch all the way back up to the reversing solenoid. So the next thing to check is power coming out of the reversing solenoid, and that would be these two leads that are going up to the Tarp motor. So again, I'm going to put my red probe on one of these two output posts, and put my black probe on the ground, and actuate the switch, and I should get power coming out of one of these output posts. Change the direction of the switch, it should come out the other output post. Today that's not happening, so this reversing solenoid has failed, and I also have a bad circuit breaker. So it's pretty rare in electrical issues to get a double failure like that, because usually one's going to go and just leave the other one alone. So maybe as this was failing, it was causing a lot of current to go through that circuit breaker. That circuit breaker resetting a lot of times. They can only trip so many times in a lifetime, and then they don't auto reset anymore. So this reversing solenoid is bad. Normally, so then if you had found that power was coming out of these posts here, then you'd go and check this wiring harness up at the Tarp motor, which is pretty simple to do. You're just going to pull that cover off, and you'll see those two ring terminals up at the top there. Actuate the switch, and you should see power coming into the posts of the Tarp motor. And if you got power all the way up to the Tarp motor, then maybe your Tarp motor is bad, or the gearbox has failed. Well, that's unlikely. The roller maybe could somehow be jammed, maybe some sort of mechanical problem at that point. That's always a good place to start before you start diagnosing electrical. I've seen all sorts of things getting wrapped up, debris in the Tarp roller. You just want to make sure you don't have a mechanical problem before you go tearing apart your electrical system, and the thing couldn't move because it's jammed. So hopefully you found this video helpful.